Hello
Hello
there.
there.
Today, we're going to be talking about, is Disney ruining Star Wars? Because there's pros and cons to what Disney's been doing with Star Wars, so today I want to talk about that. Sorry if you hear hammering or anything outside. There's currently construction going on at my apartment complex, so sorry if you hear any of that. I'm hoping my mic doesn't pick it up, but it might. Also, spoiler alert for The Last Jedi. If for whatever reason you haven't seen it yet, I'm going to be spoiling it in this video, so there's your warning. The first thing I want to talk about is the comics and the good and the bad that Disney has done there. So, first thing that they did that was amazing was the Darth Vader series by Kieran Gillen. I don't know how to pronounce his last name, but he did a fantastic series for Darth Vader that was amazing, and it's canon because it's in the Marvel Star Wars books, so it was so good. We're currently getting a Darth Vader series by Charles Soule that I like, but I don't love. There's some good stuff, and then there's some pretty stupid stuff, like there's a lightsaber that was used as a blaster. It was like used as sort of ammunition. It was weird. There's just some stuff that's not too good. But that series by Kieran was amazing. I love that series so much. If you have not read it, it only went like 4 volumes, and I have all 4. It's so good. And then there was also Vader Down, which was a storyline that mixed in with the other Star Wars books, and that is my favorite thing to come from Disney Star Wars so far, is that series right there. It was amazing. But we've also gotten other good Star Wars books from Disney. We've gotten Shattered Empire, which was a cool story to show you what happened right after the second Death Star exploded, show you what the Empire was doing and what the Rebellion was doing right after, and what Luke's objective was, and securing those forest trees and stuff like that. So it was pretty cool. And then the main Star Wars title has been very up and down. There's some good stuff, there's some just weird, not so great stuff. The main problem with that is Jason Aaron isn't writing it anymore, but he did write like the first 40 issues or something like that, or 30 something, whatever. He wrote a lot of it, and his main problem was he had no clue how to write Han or Leia. Everyone else he pretty much nailed. He did a good job, but Han and Leia was really bad. Also, he made it to where Luke and Vader had fought in a lightsaber battle prior to Empire, which I'm not the biggest fan of, because it's kind of stupid to have them fight before then, but it's kind of whatever. It's not the biggest deal. It's just a little like, there was no reason to do that. We also got a good Obi-Wan Anakin miniseries from Charles Soule, which I enjoyed. But then there have been some stuff that's just not so great, like adding Sana Solo, which is just not a good character. She was just purely sort of added as a token character. You can tell she was not actually thought of, oh, this would be good for story reasons. It was more of, oh, we need a black female, so we'll add Sana Solo. To whereas Dr. Aphra, who is an Asian woman, actually fits into the storyline. You can tell that she fits in the storyline, she's necessary, and she's a good character. I like Dr. Aphra. Those are 2 ways to show exactly how to implement a new character and how not to. The way Jason Aaron did it with Sana Solo is just awful. Dude, don't. Like, that character, she is the worst part of every book she's in. Whenever she shows up, no one likes her. But Dr. Aphra, I don't know how her solo series is. I can't say if that's good or garbage. I haven't read that. But in the Darth Vader series, I liked her. She was a good character. She's a good contrast to Darth Vader. And just, yeah, so that's how to implement a character. So with the comics, I'd say overall it's been pretty good for the most part. We've gotten some good series. I heard the Mace Windu series is pretty good. I just can't get past the art. I'm not the biggest fan of it. But this does bring me to the point that a lot of people didn't like, which was the whole Disney changing the entire canon, which made a lot of people very upset, and already before anything came out saying that Disney ruined Star Wars because they got rid of their favorite Legends books. I'll say this, I'm happy / mad that Disney did what they did. I'm happy because at least this way we have a straight on, okay, this is canon, this isn't, so that's good. It clears up some confusion, because prior to Disney's taking over, there were so many Legends books. So much stuff that was like, okay, this is canon, but this is so weird. What, like a bunch of stuff that makes no sense at all that is canon. It was getting very convoluted, but at the same time, Disney's scrapping everything. Even the good stuff doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I feel like they could have cherry picked some things when, like, okay, this is canon, this is canon, that's not, this is canon. They could have done things like that. Like with the fact that they were talking about how they made one book specifically not canon because Chewie died in it. It's like, you could have just specifically made that book not canon instead of being like, nothing's canon. But then they do listen to the fans a little bit by bringing Thrawn back in Rebels, even though he's awful in Rebels. His voice actor is dope though. But Rebels, this is what happens every episode with Thrawn. The rebels kick Thrawn's ass and then get away, and Thrawn's like secondhand man or woman will be like, Thrawn, you're letting them get away, and then Thrawn will be like, that's part of my plan. And that's what he does every single time. Apparently Thrawn's plan is to get his ass kicked by the rebels at every turn and then follow them. That is his plan every time. He's so awful. But we are currently getting a Thrawn comic series. I have no clue if it's good. I think only 1 or 2 issues are out right now. No clue if it's good or not. I was never the biggest fan of Thrawn. I'm always more of a comic book guy than like actual books. So I don't know if the new books are any good. I can't speak on that. But again, I'm 50-50 on the whole destroying the canon thing, because it kind of sucks that Kyle Katarn is no longer canon. I love that guy so much, and I'd love for him to be canon, and that future that we got with him and Luke was pretty cool with Jedi Academy. So that not being canon kind of stings, kind of sucks. But at the same time, there was a lot of stuff. I understand that Disney had to get rid of some of it. There's no way Disney could have kept everything canon, because there was just too damn much of it. So I understand where Disney was coming from, but at the same time, they didn't have to just scorch earth. They didn't have to just destroy everything and be like, we're going to rebuild. They just made Clone Wars and Rebels canon, and then everything Marvel produces and Disney does is now canon. So that's basically all they did. And yeah, I know, so I can understand why a lot of people are mad, but I can understand why Disney had to do what they do. So I understand both sides, but again, I'm 50-50 on the whole that thing. It's not really a pro or a con to me that they destroyed the previous canon. So the one movie from Disney Star Wars that I've actually enjoyed is Rogue One. I really like Rogue One. It's not my favorite Star Wars movie ever, but I really enjoyed it. It's a good movie with likable characters, and overall, I really like the movie. I love Jyn, I love Cassian. Cassian's my boy. He is one of my favorite Star Wars characters after watching that movie, and also it gave us that awesome Darth Vader scene, so of course thank you for that. So I love that movie, and the thing that's funny is a lot of the times whenever you see people that are defending like The Last Jedi, The Force Awakens against people that don't like it, they'll be like, oh, they don't like it because of diversity. Well, a lot of people that don't like The Force Awakens or The Last Jedi love Rogue One, yet Rogue One has the most diverse cast of any Star Wars movie. So it doesn't exactly add up there, because a lot of them be like, they don't like it because Rey is the new lead. They don't like that there's a female lead or that there's diversity. They're just upset with that it's not a white male lead. It's like, no one's mad about that. Just look at Rogue One. People like Rogue One, myself included. I really like Rogue One. I don't like any of the other Disney Star Wars movies, but I really like Rogue One. It's a solid film. It wasn't a story that we needed, but it was a story that I liked. It wasn't like, oh man, we have to get that story right there. Without it, Star Wars falls apart. It ruins everything. No, it doesn't. It was a nice addition to the Star Wars universe, and I like it, and it was a good movie. So I was happy with Rogue One. That's another pro from Disney. Now we're getting into the cons. This is where things get pretty bad. So first off, Disney is telling a story that no one cares about with his new trilogy. This is just a story that we didn't need and we didn't want. No one cares. I mean, there are new fans of this, but I'm saying primarily as far as the old fans, people, big original trilogy fans, no one cared about this. When Disney bought Star Wars, I was personally hoping for a bunch of anthology films, a bunch of like sort of spin-offs, and being like, oh, here's Boba Fett, here's Obi-Wan, here's some new characters, here's new stuff. I did not want to see Old Man Luke, Han, or Leia. Their stories ended perfectly at the end of Return of the Jedi. Everything was wrapped up, and I thought anything after that we'd get would be either way in the future when they're all dead, or it would be just a little bit after in the comics or the books. So I'm like, oh, that'd be cool, like filling in the gaps like they did with the comics, or like do something a little bit in the future like they did with Shattered Empire. That could be interesting, but we don't really need to see Old Man Han, Luke, or Leia. We know how it all ends at the Return of the Jedi. We don't need anything further from that. Like, it's fine. I like the ending. George Lucas gave us a great ending for those characters. Instead, they're like, nah, we'll bring them back. We'll completely ruin Han Solo. Yeah, you thought he loved Leia? Psych, no. They have a son. They turn out to be the worst parents ever, and then Han just completely abandons her and goes back to and undoes all his character development from the original trilogy and goes back to like A New Hope. That's what he does, or beginning of A New Hope. That's what he does. Like, why would you undo all that character development? So much character development for Han from the beginning of A New Hope to the end of Return of the Jedi. From being just some smuggler that cares about nothing but cash to being an actual hero in the rebellion that loves Leia. And nope, they just undid it. And now he's just deadbeat dad that goes back to smuggling. And it just, yep, that's what you wanted from this new trilogy, to ruin your favorite characters. At least Leia hasn't been completely ruined yet, besides flying Leia, which was pretty stupid. But yeah, they kind of ruined Han. Harrison Ford still did great in The Force Awakens, but they kind of He's one of the best parts of that movie, but they kind of ruined him because they undid all his character development. And now he's dead. They do all this crappy stuff to him, and then on top of that, they kill him. It's literally like kicking him when he's down. It's like, we're gonna do all this awful stuff, and by the way, he's now dead. I understand they have to kill him because that's the only way they can get Harrison Ford back, but again, there's no reason to bring back the original trilogy characters. They had their ending in Return of the Jedi. We didn't need another ending for them. And then Luke gets his ending, which was better than Han's, but that's not saying much because Han's ending was terrible. At least I felt something when Luke died. I felt a little sad the way it was done. To where when Han died, I felt nothing but anger. To where Luke's death, I at least felt a little sad. I was like, oh, the twin sons and everything. That's kind of sad. So the gist of it is Disney is making just bad movies that no one cares about. Because The Force Awakens, I still get crap for this day. I'll still lose subs probably today for talking bad about it, because I made a video around when The Last Jedi came out talking about why I don't like, well, the worst scene in The Force Awakens, and I lost so many subs that day because people still can't handle a different opinion. If you like The Force Awakens, that's great. I personally do not. I'm going to present my argument for why I do not, and I keep doing that, and people get mad and they can't handle a different opinion and they leave, which is fine. Go, it just doesn't matter. But anyways, for The Force Awakens, my big problem I had with the movie was the fact that it was, hey, we'll just do A New Hope but worse with terrible characters. So you got Finn, who on paper should be good, but he's not really interesting at all. He's just a big goofball, and he's kind of there to be worse than Rey at everything. Granted, everyone's worse than Rey, but like way worse. He's sort of like the Jar Jar of this movie, because he's literally there just to do quips and be bad at everything. Like, that is Finn to a T in this movie. Then you have Rey, who is amazing at everything and doesn't need help for anything, and is just the best ever. She's only vulnerable at like one spot in this movie, and then she just saves herself, and she's amazing at everything. You have Kylo Ren, who's kind of interesting up until he decides to start crying during an interrogation. And no, he is not the one being interrogated, he's the one doing the interrogating. I don't know about you, but if I'm being interrogated and my interrogator starts crying, I don't think I'm going to give up any information. But that's just me. I don't know. Maybe Kylo was trying a new technique. Like, maybe if I just start sobbing, maybe if like tears well up in my eyes, they'll give me the information I want. It didn't really work out though, but yeah. So, and then the entire story was just A New Hope, but worse. It was so bad. It's like, what if, like, this is basically J.J. Abrams. What if we made A New Hope, but with undeveloped characters that are not likable? How about that? Because they got good talent. That cast is good. It's just the movie's not. And again, they ruin Han Solo, and they ruin Han and Leia's relationship, which was my favorite in cinematic history. I love the relationship between Han and Leia. They ruined that. They also ruined Luke, considering they made him this guy that just gives up instantly and just is done with everything, even though all the hardships he's been through. I made a video before talking about how the Last Jedi ruined Luke. I mean, not the Last Jedi. How Force Awakens ruined Luke. So yeah. The Force Awakens bad. So then you have The Last Jedi, which is continuing the bad streak that The Force Awakens started. Another movie that takes a classic character and pretty much ruins them, which is Luke. I just was not a fan of Luke in this movie. I've made videos talking about why. I don't want to make this video go on for too long. But yeah, The Last Jedi is not a good movie. I know a lot of people like, subvert your expectations. That was the main problem, because everything that happened you weren't expecting. It's like, no. I made a video, my last video, talking about the fact that my big problem with The Last Shot, I keep getting them confused, was that I expected everything that happened. Because the Last Jedi did this. Here's interesting. This is the interesting wall. Here is The Last Jedi. Oh, it's getting so close. And then it backtracks. That's what it did. The entire time. It's like, oh man, Kylo and Rey actually might join forces. What? I didn't see that coming. I thought they were just gonna stay on the same side and, you know, play out like good versus evil. Oh, it's exactly doing that. It just teased something interesting, like maybe they'll join forces. In actuality, it's the exact same as the beginning of the movie. The end of the movie is the same as the beginning. Rey is here on the good side. Kylo is here on the bad side. Nothing changes throughout the entire movie. They're still the same. Nothing. Then you have Luke, who's like, the Jedi should end. It's like, oh man, that's interesting. Who would have thought Luke would say that? I thought Luke would be good guy Jedi man. Then by the end of the movie, the Jedi are good again and raise the last Jedi and she'll defeat the evil. It's like, oh, okay, so everything Luke said doesn't really matter, because in the end he's like, yeah, Jedi are the good guys and the Sith are the bad guys. And then you have Leia, who in the beginning of the movie, it's like, oh man, I did not see her dying within the first 10 minutes. This movie has guts, holy crap. And then she Supermans it out of there. And it's like, oh, so it's exactly like everyone thought, where I thought that she was going to make it through this movie. Because I thought, you know, with the whole Carrie Fisher passing away thing, I thought that they'd be like, oh yeah, we're not going to kill her because the actress died in real life and it would be untasteful for us to do that. So we're just not going to do it. So when they did it, I was like, holy crap, I can't believe they did it. And then they backtracked. And I was like, oh, so they went back to being predictable and safe. That was the entirety of the movie, was just, here's something interesting, we'll go back to being predictable and safe. Sorry for teasing you with something interesting. And that was a big problem I had with The Last Jedi, among many other things, but this video is not supposed to be about The Last Jedi. So yeah, again, they took characters that had great story arcs, that had really good beginning, middle, and endings with Luke, Han, and Leia, and then they ruined them in this new trilogy. Like, you thought Han had a good story arc, well, we're gonna ruin that. You thought Luke had good character progression, we'll ruin that now. Stuff that makes no sense at all. Hopefully they don't completely ruin Leia in the next one, but we'll see. And then another con for Disney is the fact that they canceled Clone Wars and started Rebels. It's just that still pisses me off, because Clone Wars was a really good show. It was a great show that like everyone could enjoy. It was one of those like from like 12 and up you could really enjoy. I mean, even you got way younger, you can enjoy the show, but you know what I'm saying. It was like a lot of people enjoy that show. To where Rebels, it feels like it's exclusively for like 12 and under. That's what it feels like. I know a lot of people love the show that are older. That's great if you love the show, but it feels like it's really targeted towards 12 and under. Like, if you are over the age of 12, we do not want you here. We are not going after that audience. And it's just, the show is just, I'm just not a fan of it. And also the Disney mentality, I'm not the biggest fan of. If you see all over Twitter and stuff, it's sort of the, hey, we no longer want Star Wars fans to be a fan of Star Wars. We want these new people to be a fan of Star Wars, people that were never Star Wars fan, which is kind of working, because when The Force Awakens came out, I saw so many people who are like, oh yeah, I never liked the original trilogy, but I love The Force Awakens. I think that is a huge sign as to the type of movies Disney is making right now. The fact that classic Star Wars fans don't like them, but new people that did not like the original movies like these new movies. And now I know that huge classic fans love the Star Wars movies. That's great. If you like them, that's fine. But I'm saying that I think it's a telltale sign that a lot of people that love the original trilogy do not like these new ones. A lot of people that did not care for the original trilogy love the new ones. I think it's funny, and I think it's a big sign. Be like, don't you think you should just like look in the mirror after that and be like, maybe we're doing something wrong, considering fans that love the original trilogy don't like this new trilogy? It's just, you think they would realize that, but anyways, yeah, again, this mentality that Disney has right now, this mentality of just, hey, you've been a big fan of Star Wars, but you don't like this new stuff. Well, screw you. We don't like you. These weren't made for you. This isn't for your generation. This is not for you. You had your Star Wars movies. These are these new people's Star Wars movies now. If you don't like them, you don't have any input. Screw you. We don't want you. I hate that. I hate that mentality, which is what a lot of people over at Disney have. Just the, yeah, you had your movies. Piss off now. These are these new people that never liked the original trilogy. This is their movies. This is for the non-Star Wars fan. Like, what? That makes no sense. So I feel like Rogue One was a movie for Star Wars fans, but The Last Jedi and The Force Awakens were not for Star Wars fans. But that's my opinion on the whole thing. Please let me know in the comments below. What do you think about this whole thing? Has Disney ruined Star Wars? To me, to a certain extent, they have. I feel like they haven't completely ruined it. I feel like they never could, even if they just did the ultimate worst thing possible. I don't think they could ever ruin it, because we will always have that original trilogy. So they can't completely ruin Star Wars, but I feel like they've tried their best to ruin Star Wars with the movies. But with the comics, we've gotten some good stuff. That's where the main pros come from, because they've given it to some talented people at Marvel. But then you have everything that's going on with the media stuff, like with Rebels and the movies, that just are not very good. But anyways, again, please let me know in the comments below, what do you think of this? Do you think that Disney has ruined Star Wars? Do you think they haven't? Do you think that they've taken it into a great direction? I want to know what your thoughts are in the comments down below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you later.